Live from Nairobi, this is Focus on Africa on BBC News. Our top stories. Kenyan police fire tear gas at protesters marching against rising femicide cases.
First, declare femicide a national disaster. If a woman is being killed every other day, what does that mean? If it was any other pandemic, wouldn't the government have mitigated?
Kenya's policing is once again in the spotlight after people attending an anti-femicide march were tear-gassed by officers. Several hundred people had gathered in the capital, Nairobi, to take part in the demonstration, which reports say was peaceful. However, they were repeatedly targeted by police officers who fired tear gas from moving vehicles. Those who had gathered were trying to bring attention to the issue of femicide. This is the international killing of females and girls, intentional killing of females and girls on account of their gender, such as intimate partner violence or so-called honor killings. The Kenyan National Police Service says that between August and October, there were nearly 100 confirmed cases of femicide in the country. UN statistics also show that there are a daily average of 140 femicide cases globally. Back in Nairobi, Amnesty International have called the Kenyan police's reaction to the march a direct attack on Kenya's democratic principles and the human rights of its citizens. The country's police force was heavily criticized for its actions during anti-government protests in the summer, in which at least 60 people lost their lives. All right, let's now bring in the BBC's Anita Nkonge, who covered the protests. You've actually just got back from the march, I believe. Tell us more about what happened. What was it like?
I think what stood out to me the most was the reaction by the police. Like you said, a lot of the protesters were relatively peaceful. All they had were their posters, whistles, and they kept chanting endfemicide, we stop killing our women. But what we kept seeing was when protesters would gather, police would shoot out tear gas, and this happened, I think we counted over 9 times across the day. But what was also interesting was that as protesters kept being dispersed, they kept coming back with even more energy, even more vim, asking the police, we're asking you for help to help us with the cases of femicide. Why are you attacking us in this moment where we're peaceful protesters? But for more on this, let's take a look at the story that I gathered today.
We have been witnessing hundreds of protesters gathering here in the central business district protesting an end to femicide. There's also been a back and forth between the police and the protesters, with the police shooting at tear gas.
I'm here to fight for the rights of women because we don't deserve to be killed. I don't know why we're being tear gassed because, as you can see, all we have is water and placards. It's supposed to be a peaceful protest.
I'm here on the streets to fight for my generation. The women that will come after me need to find a better environment for them to exist. So that's why I'm in the streets today.
According to the Kenyan police, in the last 3 months alone, 97 women have been killed in the country. The UN says figures of intimate partner and family-related femicide were highest in Africa in 2023, with over 21,000 women killed. Lucy Njorege's 23-year-old daughter was found dead in October 2024, allegedly killed by a friend.
The most painful moment is when you enter in the mortuary and find your daughter or your loved one lying in that thing of the mortuary. Nyakio was charming. Nyakio was bubbly. Nyakio was the most beautiful girl in this world. People loved her so much. She was very social. Life has been very hard emotionally and psychologically.
The police appealed for help on social media, seeking the public's help to find their main suspect. But some activists believe the force should do better in handling femicide cases. In August 2024, an alleged serial killer of 42 women escaped police custody and remains at large.
First, declare femicide a national disaster. If a woman is being killed every other day, what does that mean? If it was any other pandemic, wouldn't the government have mitigated? They have done nothing to mitigate against femicide.
Kenyan President William Ruto has pledged nearly $800,000 to a government campaign called Safe Homes, Safe Spaces. It aims to combat femicide and support victims of domestic violence.
There's people who run safe houses. We haven't received, no one has contacted us and no one has talked to us. We don't want him to throw money at issues. We want him to do a concerted campaign to end femicide.
Despite being dispersed today, the protesters say that they will return to the streets if their demands are not met. They want to see stringent changes in the current laws dealing with sexual and domestic violence. They also want to see femicide added to the penal code. Anita Nkonge, BBC News, Nairobi.
Lots to consider there. Well, Anita, this is a second anti-femicide protest this year. The organizers seem concerned that not much action has been taken, I reckon. Tell us more about that.
Yes, so what they're calling out is a lackluster approach by the police in how they deal with cases. So for example, with the mother that you just saw, she called out what she said was a shoddy job by the way the police were collecting evidence and gathering information about the murder of her daughter. But this isn't the first time either. We've seen people escaping and people who allegedly claimed to have killed and been serial killers against women, escaping prison. And so we've seen that. We've also seen the President Ruto, saying that he is pledging over $800,000 US, nearly $800,000 US to creating safe spaces and safe homes. But critics are saying that's not sufficient enough. They say that that's a reactive approach. You're creating safe spaces for people who are being attacked or potential victims, but why aren't you looking at the root causes of what is causing femicide? Where is this coming from? Why has there been an increase? What is the psychology behind it? And that's what people are also calling out.
I mean, obviously, femicide isn't just a Kenyan problem. How does Kenya's situation compare with the rest of Africa or the rest of the world?
It really isn't. So just to give you a couple of statistics, right? So United Nations say that globally, every 10 minutes, a woman was intentionally killed by her partner or family member in 2023. They also said that an average of 140 women and girls were killed each day in 2023. And just to bring it closer to home, in South Africa, a national study on femicide found that 3 women were killed every day by an intimate partner between 2020 and 2021. We've also seen protests in Mexico, South Africa, India, France, all protesting the same thing, all calling out femicide, saying that they want stringent laws, laws that specifically target femicide, because right now femicide isn't necessarily declared its own crime. And all saying that they want the government to intervene, all saying that they want a change in attitude in the way people are viewing women, how they're viewing femicide, and also the police coming in and
very briefly, if you can, do you get a sense that the protesters could be back out on the streets again in Nairobi and Kenya if they don't see action?
Yes, we actually spoke to a couple of them who said, yeah, we've been tear gassed today, but we'll be back if the government does not listen to our demands. Some of them which, like she said, like Njoroge said in the piece, that they want femicide declared a national disaster, they want changes in the laws, they want police to take more action, they want more sufficient work by the government, and they want a conversation and a dialogue that helps bring change when it comes to femicide. Well,
thanks for coming to update us on a very important issue, and should there be more updates, I know we'll be talking to you very soon. Anita Njoroge there, speaking with us on Focus on Africa.